What's up, guys? Welcome back. So VTSAX, my old friend, doesn't really come up that often, but today I want to talk about the most frequently asked questions I get about VTSAX, Vanguard's total stock market index fund, and how it is a life-changing mutual fund that can set your personal finance journey to the moon. Are we still saying to the moon? No wasting time. Let's dive right into it. The first question I get about VTSAX all the time is, hey, Brad, I've been watching your channel for a long time. Long-time subscriber. You used to be a VTSAX fanboy. Now all your videos seem to be on trading options. Like, what the hell happened with VTSAX? Guys, full disclosure, I know what my YouTube channel portrays and shows me as, but for my real ones, guys, nothing has happened between me and VTSAX. Nothing at all. It is my bread and butter. It is 80 to 90% of my overall investing portfolio. It is the thing that I care the most about. I like trading options just for sport, for fun, right? It's a hobby for me, and the YouTube algorithm loves it, and people here on YouTube love it, and it's just a progression of my channel. I have so much VTSAX content, so much index fund content. There was just an evolution of the channel into options. But guys, bread and butter. First and foremost, let's go VTSAX. So another question I get asked all the time, what the hell is VTSAX? You talk about it in your Roth IRA videos. You talk about it with your friends, at parties. After saying that, yeah, I probably don't have that many friends if I'm talking about this at parties.
Le who? The her.
But that's okay. That's a horse of a completely different color. But what it is, guys, it is a mutual fund, and more specifically, an index fund. So we pay lower fees as opposed to passively managed mutual funds. And what a mutual fund is just a collection of stocks put into one basket, and then that particular mutual fund has a price according to the stocks that are inside it. It's kind of like set it and forget it, and it makes it so easy. One of my favorite books in the whole world, The Simple Path to Wealth. I'll link that down in the description below. You guys have heard me talk about it. J.L. Collins is a legend. Pretty much shows how just with simple index fund investing, you could do really, really well. And when I first made videos about this years ago, I was kind of like speaking from the book. But now, after investing in VTSAX and other index funds for 5-6 years now, I'm not going back, right? That's all I'm going to do. So I have it up here right now. Here it is, Vanguard Index Fund. We'll talk about the ETF. We'll talk about the ETF in 1 second. Expense ratio 0.04. Guys, that's $4 for every $10,000 you invest. That's nothing crazy. And like I said, if we come down here, I said it's a collection of stocks. Now, this is the total stock market. So it has every single stock in the stock market inside this basket, but not in equal percentages. Okay, and I'll talk about the S&P 500 index in just 1 second. But if we see here, the top 10 holdings make up 22% of this fund. And I'll click here so you can see the actual weight. Microsoft, Apple, and Google. Guys, we've heard of those. If you look at these top 10, you can invest in these individual stocks, but if you are in VTSAX, you're getting a heavy load of your returns based on these particular stocks. Guys, so you can invest in individual stocks and monitor that stuff and care what one thing does or another, or you can just invest in the total stock market and that'll be good to go. Speaking in mutual funds, and especially like the market now and what the market's been doing, people ask me all the time, like, I've heard that a stock can be overvalued. Like, can a mutual fund be overvalued? Like, is VTSAX overvalued because it's a representation of the total stock market? Should I wait for the dip? Is it too expensive? If you're going to be an index fund investor for the long term, you do not care about the short term, even quarterly, possibly even the yearly fluctuations of the particular share price of VTSAX. To be honest, I maxed out my Roth IRA in the beginning of the year. That was the last time I saw the share price of VTSAX. I looked at it today because I'm prepping for this video. But other than that, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Let's go. Let's go! But I don't think about it. And is it overvalued? Well, yes, it is a representation of the market. So if you think the market's overvalued, then yeah, definitely, then VTSAX would be overvalued. But if we're long-term, we do not care about the fluctuations. JJ and I talked about in our last podcast episode, VTSAX, when I have money, I'm buying it. If I have a little bit of extra to invest, I'm buying it. If it's rainy, I'm buying it. If it's snowing, if it's up, I'm buying it. Okay? So don't really worry so much about that. Do not time the market, please. If you have some money to invest, Get it in there. If it's going to be an index fund, yeah, like certain stocks might be overvalued. You might want to wait for things. They might be, might not be the right time. But as far as index funds and mutual funds are concerned, if I got money, it's going right into VTSAX. Couple more questions before we get to the most common question I get, the one like I get every day. The next one I'll talk about is, hey Brad, I did my research on VTSAX. It has a $3,000 minimum if I want to invest in that particular mutual fund. That is true. Okay, so you have a couple different options. Number one, you could save up $3,000 and go for it then. The next option would be to use its ETF, an exchange traded fund, and its ticker symbol is VTI. This is something that you can buy on any brokerage, right? You can go on Robinhood, Webull, M1 Finance, and buy VTI, which is pretty much the exact same representation of VTSAX, but the minimum is the share price. So you don't need to worry about that $3,000 minimum. Side note as well, as like a little follow-up to that question, once you get to the $3,000, then it doesn't have to be $3,000 increments. Once you break that threshold of $3,000, you're good to go. So if I just go back to the homepage here, it says also available as an ETF. If I click on this ETF, it'll give me all the information about VTI. It actually only charges $3 per $10,000. So it's actually a little bit cheaper. Other people love VTI, but you see this is all the same holdings. Other people love VTI because you can sell covered calls with it. You can't really sell options with mutual funds because ETFs have real-time pricing while the markets are open, where mutual funds get priced in at the end of every day. So if you don't have $3,000, go VTI. And whenever VTI comes up, VOO always, enters the room, and, we have to talk about VOO. Guys, VOO is the S&P 500 index. So it's not the total stock market. It's just the S&P 500. I don't really care which one anybody does. And to be honest, I go back and forth. If we look at my M1 Finance account, guys, I have VOO in there. Just a little bit of diversification. Change things up a little bit. They pretty much perform identically. I think VTI actually outperforms them just by a hair. But to be honest, like if you want to be more advanced, if we have like a 20% dip and you want to do some tax loss harvesting, you can go from VTI to VOO and you can do some tax loss harvesting. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But that's okay. And like I said, doesn't really matter that much. If you're in VOO, don't go to VTI. Just stick with it. And in my honest opinion, you shouldn't have both. They're kind of like repetitive. So kind of have one or the other. I know I just said that I have VTI and VTSAX and VOO here. They're in different accounts. I wouldn't stack VOO and VTI in the same account. They're essentially the same, just a little bit more for you to manage. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just like I said, it's just more to manage, more things, and just pick VTI, VOO, go back and forth. Have it. Really? It's up to you. It doesn't matter. As I'm going down the list, I realize that these are becoming like more frequently asked questions. Guys, the next one is, I am not a Vanguard fanboy like you. I'm in Fidelity. Like, can I buy VTSAX inside Fidelity? Because I really trust your opinion and I want to get in on it. Guys, you don't need to do that, right? There are other amazing, because I know some people haven't even gotten this far in the video and they've already shot down into the comments that, oh, you can get this one for this and you can get this fund for this fee. Like, I know there are many amazing total stock market indexes out there. If you are a Fidelity person, look at FSKAX. And I think their zero fee one is like FROZ or FROX, something like that. Like I said, I don't really know what it is, but I know that they're out there. Remember, the only real differences between the two companies are going to be those percentages. Maybe, in Vanguard VTSAX, Microsoft is 4.0%, where in FSKX, maybe it's like 4.1%. So there'll be little different fluctuations. That's how they can return different amounts, and they have different fees and management, stuff like that. I think when Fidelity did the whole zero expense ratio total stock market index fund, that's a call to action. That's trying to get some market share away from Vanguard, who created the index fund and is really the leader inside the index fund space. I think that's really why Fido did that. But if you have Fidelity or another company's total stock market index fund, like, you don't need to like pump the brakes and get into Vanguard. You're good to go. The next question, one mutual fund, Brad? Like, hold on. This is just so you know that I'm telling the truth here. One index fund, if we look right here in the middle, guys, this is my Roth IRA, currently valued at $31,551. I think I did a video when it broke 30. It's been about the same, right? Market's trading kind of down or flat. Guys, one fund in my Roth IRA. That's it. One. oh, but you should have REITs in there because the gains, blah, blah, like one fund. This is my retirement. This is my foundation. I can buy stocks and trade options and YOLO outside of my foundation. This is my foundation. One stock, VTSAX. That's all that's in there. And people say, one, you need diversification. Where's your international exposure? Great. If you want to invest in international companies or international indexes, by all means, go for it. The reason I don't is because of VTS's exposure internationally, right? The companies that they invest in, look at those ones, Microsoft, Apple, Google, like if you don't think they're making money in other countries, and if you don't think they have employees and headquarters and they're making money internationally in other countries.
You guys are getting paid?
So that's called indirect exposure to this international market. That's all I frankly need. I know some people really, really want to invest, and there's 3 fund portfolios. Guys, this is all up to you. Personal, I'm just telling you my story. But if somebody says to me, where's your diversification? I own over 3,500 stocks inside VTSAX. That sounds like diversification to me, and that's good enough for me as well. And the last one, the most frequently asked question I get, especially like if you're a YouTube watcher, you definitely see videos about this particular topic. I've actually been down on this particular topic. We also talked about that in the podcast. If you don't know about the podcast, JJ Buckner and I have a podcast called Average Money on all of your streaming services. Well, here on YouTube, you can check it out. But we talked about growth versus dividend, and a question I get asked all the time, does VTSAX pay a dividend? Yes. They absolutely do, because they're a representation of the market, and the market, some companies pay a dividend. Now, it's hard to put a finger on dividend yield. For those that don't know, guys, dividend yield gets changed by the share price, right? The dividend paid is kind of set, and that percentage changes with the fluctuation in the price. The price does not dictate the yield, right? The yield is determined from the price. Did that make sense? No, that didn't make sense. The price is whatever. I don't know. Pretty much what it means is that the yield changes as the share price goes down, the yield will go up because the fixed paid dividend remains the same. And I was kind of like, what led me to this VTSAX video, I was talking with a buddy at work about June, they paid their dividend. And I've been so close to, like, I don't know if this has a name or whatever, but when your dividend buys a full share, you can leave that in the comments down below. I think there's like a name for it, but I knew that I was close last quarter of my VTSAX dividend paying 1 complete full share, and I don't think it did. The price right now is $107, and I don't even know like what my cost basis is. Let me see if I can find that. So here it is. My average cost per share is $81.16. So that's great. It was just at 107, so I'm pretty good. And here they show the long-term and short-term capital gains, but in your Roth IRA, that really means nothing. But guys, look, almost $8,000 I've made in 4 years on this. I think this was the 4th year I maxed it, right? Does that make sense? Maybe the 5th year that I maxed it. You have to go back and watch that video. But yeah, almost $8,000. Let's see what the actual dividend was. I think it was like 90 and change. Yeah, VTSAX paid me $95. That's pretty awesome. So almost there, maybe next quarter, but yes, it does. I think the yield right now is somewhere around 1.6%. So like maybe a little bit more than a dividend growth stock, but a little less than what you'd consider just a dividend paying stock. But like I said, with $30,000 in there, I'm getting $100 right now every single quarter. So almost $500 a year, and that's continuing to go up. And I really am excited. I will make a video when my dividend pays for the cost of 1 entire share. That's going to be a good one. I'll leave a more detailed summary of VTSAX up here if you want to know more information. And here's that last Roth IRA breakdown video where I go into more details about the who, what, when, where, why of VTSAX. Until I see you guys again, stay positive, work really, really hard. Always please be kind to other people. Hope you have yourself an amazing day and even better tomorrow.